Hey everyone, it's Aladdin here with the JCA Sports Handicapping YouTube channel. Sorry I've been on a little hiatus. I started a new job and I've been very, very busy. But besides the point, we're jumping right into UFC 294 and just going to break down a few fights, little predictions, a few bets, and yeah, let's get this going. We're going to start this off with Trevor Peek, aka Peekaboo. Really like this guy. I've been pretty high on him. And I honestly think, especially with this line movement, I mean, he started out at plus 135, and now he's all the way to minus 170. Maybe you could get him at a better spot in some other books, but I mean, he's just getting cooked right now. And I really think he'll win. My main reasoning is, and shout out to my boy Blood Money Bets for this, but this Yaya guy, I mean, I don't know how he opened up as a favorite. Maybe because he's from Dubai or the UAE, where it's getting the event's getting taken place. But I just don't get how he opened up as a favorite because every one of the guys that he's fought are all like 5-5. There was one guy who was like 8-8. Like what? Like how are you still fighting? It just doesn't make any sense. And the few guys that he lost to all had like winning records or at least like even records. But besides the point, the guy is just like seems very one dimensional, at least from the couple of fights I looked up of him, and pretty hittable. He looks like a punching bag out there, especially against a guy like Peekaboo. I mean, look at this. I mean, Peek is absolute killer. I mean, look at this guy. KO, TKO, KO, KO. I mean, every one of his wins he's finishing people within the first round, basically. He has one in the third round. But every one, he's getting these guys out quick. And in his amateur career, I mean, yeah, he even had a few KOs right there. But besides the point, I mean, get on Peak now. I think if you could get him inside the distance or just by knockout, I think that would be the ideal bet. And it looks like you could get him minus 125 inside the distance. Probably just look to get KO. Maybe even a prop bet on round one, plus 200. Kind of liking that, honestly. But yeah, I think Peekaboo's a lock. Get on him right now. Going to the next fight, we're going to do these rapid fire. This is kind of suspect how this guy is already minus 250. Guy is really bad at MMA, this Dumas guy. I mean, I heard him in an interview say, like, hey, I just like to fight. He doesn't know much training, but he likes to fight apparently, and it showed in his one fight with Fremd, and the guy was just clearly just out of his element, I think, and he had this one like standing guillotine choke. I think it was his first win, or maybe it was like Dana White Contender Series, but besides the point, this guy, this Azatar guy, has only had one fight. It's his first fight in 5 years, so really weird fight, especially for him being minus 240, because he's kind of just like a brawler guy, like it's a big puncher. He's just kind of a fish out of water on the ground. But kind of maybe take a flyer on this Zaitar guy. But I mean, 5 years out of the cage. I mean, if this guy loses, gotta imagine he hangs it up. I mean, what do you do after just taking a 5 year layoff, coming back, and then especially if you get brutally knocked out, to say, hey, I'm just starting my MMA career again? Doubtful. So I'm hopefully this guy's coming in here with a fresh mindset. He's gonna come in, hey, I'm new chapter of my career, my life, and I'm gonna get this dub. So maybe a small play on a Zatar, but possible stay away. I'm gonna put everything on Twitter, by the way, all the official plays. But moving on. Mokaev, I like this guy. I think I've mentioned him a few times in my videos. He's usually on the early prelims, but now they're bumping him up a little. He seems pretty marketable. He's only like 22 years old. I like how he's from like England. He reps the UK, and this seems like a really smart fighter from what I've seen. Even though he did almost lose that one fight, he possibly tapped. I don't know what happened there. But it was a really suspect fight because he was like minus 800 or something and almost lost. It was crazy. But yeah, he seems like a pretty safe favorite. Tim Elliott's like an old veteran guy. He's like 19-12 or something. So he's kind of like a win a fight, lose a fight guy. But he has pretty good grappling. Definitely not a slouch, I would say. And I think Mokaev has definitely got to be careful. I think he's like 12 years younger, so this is definitely like a gatekeeper fight, I would say. So like if you can't beat this guy, maybe take a couple more years to develop your skills and then come back because he, like I said, he's only 22 years old. But yeah, I think the line seems right. Minus 400, maybe a little high. Uh, I think he wins probably by decision, but I think he definitely could win by submission. Doesn't have the craziest power in his hands, but his grappling is pretty solid, at least for someone that young. So I'm gonna go with Mokaev, but maybe only gonna throw him in one parlay. I don't want him busting up all my plays. This Nurmagomedov guy, he's kind of a fraudulent to the Nurmagomedov name because he's kind of a kickboxer. He doesn't like wrestle like Khabib and all the other guys, but he's not a bad fighter, I will say. But they always seem to price him right around this area, minus 200, minus 225. He's just kind of this slow, methodical fighter, but he's not bad. I think he's lost like once or twice in the UFC. But this is probably the biggest stay away fight for me, mainly because I don't know much about this Gafurov guy, and also I haven't been high on the Saeed Nurmagomedov guy. I think he still has a lot to learn, and definitely a little not even one dimensional. I was gonna say like one dimensional in striking, but even then his striking I don't think is that good. I think he definitely has some openings and can get exposed. So probably stay away from this one. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. I think this guy's the biggest favorite on the card now, minus 650, Aliskerov. He's decent, pretty heavy hands. I'm not going to fade him, I would say. Worley Alves, definitely decent veteran. I can't recall any fights of his right now, but I'd probably just, it feels like you're just throwing your money away. It seems like every one of these guys that are backed by like the UAE or Saudi Arabia or Dagestan, they're all fighting on this card, and they're all the favorites, it seems like, except Peek right here in this fight. That's why I like him. But honestly, yeah, throw him in your parlay, but minus 650 is a little crazy, to be honest. And I think he's only like 10-1 or 12-1, so Aliskerov, got to watch more film on him, but going to stay away from that one. I think my favorite of the night is Ankalaev. I just think this guy is really well-rounded. He hasn't fought in like 9 months. Kind of weird how he took a long layoff because I don't think he was hurt. But I thought he clearly won his last fight against Blachowicz. Had a 3-2. I just don't know how you could grade that fight as a win for Jan. Maybe I can understand a draw, but besides the point, he's looked really solid in every one of his fights. His only loss is to Paul Craig with 1 second left. It was like a crazy Hail Mary triangle choke. But Ankalaev, really well-rounded, kind of a slow fighter, doesn't have too much output to his game, but he has really heavy hands. Like when this guy lands, I think he's just throws bombs. I mean, the guy is just really, really hard to hit too. He doesn't really stand in the center line too much, and it's weird because a lot of people think he's more of a wrestler, but his striking, I think, especially his leg kicks, are really solid. Even though his leg kind of got busted up last fight, his leg kicks are really solid. But Ankalaev can also use his wrestling. He's pretty effective at that too. But Walker, I've been pretty high on this guy too. I like him. Kind of crazy, but he slowed it down a little bit with his game. That Anthony Smith fight, he looked really good in it. That they were talking back and forth. It was kind of weird in that fight. But Walker did pretty good in that one. And same with Paul Craig. He smoked Paul Craig. And he didn't fall for any of the jiu-jitsu stuff. And he's a really powerful guy too, just like Ankalaev. He's like 6'4", 6'5". And I think probably will go to decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets knocked out in this fight. But I think it would be Johnny Walker just because he sustained so much damage in this fight. And that reminds me, because I was going to find the video, probably everyone's seen it by now, of him getting knocked out 5 times in 20 seconds. I swear to God, I've never seen anything like that. I don't know what that ref was doing, but Johnny Walker probably lost a couple of years of his life in 20 seconds by getting knocked out that many times. But I really think Ankalaev's a lock here, especially the way the line's moving. I think he's probably going to be over minus 400 by the time the fight starts. And I think he'll win by decision. Just like I mentioned, he's kind of a slow guy, not really looking for the knockout, except maybe for if he really could see it. But I think he'll win by decision, but I wouldn't doubt if he could clip Walker. So my official pick is probably him by decision, probably a 30-27 or 29-28. Going to move on to the co-main event now. I just think it's kind of disrespectful. Even I know he's on 10 days notice, but Usman at plus 260. And by the way, I forgot to mention this, but the script is officially in. I'm not sure if anyone saw it, but the script says that one of the underdogs, it says it right here, one of the underdogs, either in the co-main or the main event, will win. They didn't say which one, but that's what the script said. And I think I'm leaning towards Usman. And I've been really high on Khamzat ever since his first fight in the UFC. And I actually faded him. I didn't fade his money line, but I bet the fight to go over one round. And I think he never went over one round. And he literally just played with this guy for like 5 minutes and finished him in the next 20 seconds of the next round. But besides the point, he's been super dominant besides in that Gilbert Burns fight. I thought he clearly won the first round and the third round, but a lot of people thought it was a lot closer, and maybe he lost, but it was a really close fight, I will admit. But he's really solid, but the bookies love him, and minus 325, little high, I think. I think the best way to bet this fight is maybe throw a little bit of money on Usman before, and then after the first round, I think Khamzat will really slow down after the first round like he did in the Burns fight. And I think if you could get Usman even at better odds after the first round, throw money on that too. Because Usman, it's really hard to imagine him losing 3 fights in a row. I mean, one, he lost with 30 seconds left. And the other, he lost to Rocky fair and square. Probably 3-2 in the third fight. But yeah, I just think if Usman can stay on his feet and not just get constantly chain wrestled by Khamzat, I think he'll have a chance in this fight. And I'll probably bet either Usman by decision or, like I said, probably just bet him live if you could get him after the first round. That's if he survives. Khamzat is very dangerous, especially, I'll never forget watching that fight when he fought Gerald Meerschaert. And I looked away for like a second on my phone, and the guy's just dead. GM3 was dead. And I don't know. I'm going to go Usman here, but I'm not confident in it. Like I said, probably just a small play on that. And try to catch him at a better number too. But plus 260 is pretty good, I would say. Moving on to the main event. It's kind of hard to say because I watched this fight with a bunch of buddies, and a lot of us were on Volkanovski, and I really thought it was a close fight, but then I rewatched it, and then it was probably 3-2 Islam, but I felt Volk had the bigger moments. Like, he was on top with the ground and pound in the last round, and he stopped a bunch of the takedowns, and he was talking to him on his back, and I just felt Volk, for at least like going up in the weight and the way he did it, showed a lot of class, and I think he's just going to at least, I don't think he'll get finished, but I don't know if he'll win, though. I really want him to, though. But this Islam guy, I'm not a big fan of him. He just doesn't have that big of a personality. Kind of seems like he's always spaced out if you've seen videos of him, like just staring off into space. And I don't know, I'm just not the biggest fan of him. He's really good, I will admit, but besides Charles and Volkanovski, obviously, in the last fight, hasn't really fought anyone. I mean, he fought Bobby Green, beat Dan Hooker on like 10 days notice in like a minute, and then beat like Drew Dober or someone. I mean, it's not the best people that he's facing, and he has been knocked out before, so it's not like he's like invincible. So he has been exposed. So I think if Volk can definitely stay on the feet, or at least to stay on top like he did in that fifth round where Islam was just really gassed. I think he has a chance, and the bookies know that too, because now he's even a slighter underdog because he was like plus 300, I think, in the first fight. But I really think that he has a chance. And I don't know if he'll finish him, but I would love to see Islam get knocked out again. But my official prediction is probably, hate to say this, but Islam by decision. I don't think he'll finish him either. Volk is super tough. Guys, it's a badass. But like I said, I'm definitely not betting on Islam. I don't want him to win, and I just don't trust him with my money either, even though he is really good. So my official prediction is sad. Like I said, sad to say, Islam, but I'm definitely going to be rocking with Volk. I'm going to be cheering for him, and maybe if I've won my bets, I'll throw a little money on like Volk by decision or something. But I don't know. I hate just like saying like Islam will win because like I'm going to be cheering for Volk. So I'm riding the Volk train all the way. So screw Islam, not riding with them. But yeah. Islam's super tough, but I'm not gonna back him, and would rather fade him, honestly, just to make myself happy, honestly. But besides the point, that's gonna be a wrap for the video. I'm gonna try to maybe do some more tennis videos coming up, but there's not many tournaments until Australian Open. So yeah, thanks for checking in, and I know this wasn't the best video, but thanks. Bye.